This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today. If my count is right, and I'm not mistaken, we are 8 days away from the true start of the North Dakota high school football regular season. Week 0 action on WDAY Extra coming up 1 week from tomorrow with Velva and Valley City. I'm looking forward to that. We are 15 days away from opening night for Central Cass Squirrels football. Another year in Division 2A. Can't believe that it's 15 days away as we welcome in the Squirrels head coach Tommy Butler joining us on this Thursday morning. Can you believe that? Regular season's right around the corner already, Tommy.
I can't wait, man. It's been awesome. The summer's been awesome, so we're excited to get going here.
I'm looking forward to watching you guys play. Another exciting team coming up for you guys out in Castleton. You've been going for about a week now in fall camp. How's it been so far? What's the vibe of the team right now?
Vibes are high. Vibes are high. You know, we have a lot of returners, but we also have a lot of young guys that are going to be, fighting for some spots. So we got a nice blend this year of those returners trying to step up to be the next guys. And then you have that young group there that's, just fighting to feel like they're not drinking from a fire hose.
There's no doubt. I want to touch on some of those guys here in just a second and take a look at who you have returning for this year and get excited for that. But I want to reflect back on last year for just a moment. First year for Central Cass in 2A football. How did you guys feel like you handled that transition going from single A to double A last season?
Yeah, I thought we handled it well. I think our mindset going into it was, this is where we belong. These are the types of teams that we should be playing. And so I think our kids were bought in from day one. There was no hesitation of, should we be in this league or should we not? Obviously, we knew that there's really, really good teams in this league that, anybody could beat anybody. And it takes your best to win. You have an off night, you will lose. Mm-hmm. And we had that a couple different times throughout the season. But I thought we made a great push. I thought we got better each week. I came down to the last minute against Minot North, and I felt like we were right there. We probably missed a couple plays at the end that I wish we had back. But I think for us to be that close, to know that and we would love to have another shot at Devil's Lake. I think that just gives those kids that got to play in that game just a little extra motivation going into this season of how close you were. And that we don't want to feel that way again.
Absolutely. We're watching some of the highlights of that game right now. It just looked like it was a brutal, cold night up in Minot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it started out, it was cold, like you said, but it was clear. It was actually a really nice night, in November. And then after halftime, then the snow came, and then it just kept going. And again, I think obviously both teams had to play in it. They made some crucial plays on their end that, ended up winning the game for them. But, I thought it was an awesome atmosphere. I think they do a great job up there at Minot North. So for us to compete that way and again, be that close. I mean, like I said, we were about a minute away from going to play in another Dakota Bowl. It was an awesome time up there, but definitely wish we would have came out with a win there.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that, and we'll see what happens this upcoming season. I'm curious, is there a heightened level of comfortability with the players and even your coaching staff? Now in year 2 of 2A, you've seen these teams before. You can game plan a little bit more because you've seen them. Is there a little bit more comfortability going into year 2 in this division?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Obviously, there's going to be a couple new coaches in there, but, I think you have an idea of what you're going to do. Our staff, I think, we like when we feel like we've, gotten to see a team or time or two. So for us to have now a second year with that, I think is going to be a big deal for us just as a staff to make sure that our game plans are in the correct order, giving our kids the best chance to succeed. To me is the name of the game as the head coach. You got to give your kids a shot. It's not about what you run. It's about what works best for those kids. And, I think right now I feel really good with where we're at. I feel really good with, obviously having a 3-year returning starting quarterback definitely makes a difference there. And we have a lot of other guys, like I said, that have kind of played in those positions. So to go against these guys, I don't think there's any, again, last year, I don't think that we were really panicking about playing anybody. But now I think that, like you said, that being comfortable in this league and knowing what you're going to get night in and night out, I think will be big for us.
Well, let's talk about your quarterback, Brody Kegley, as you mentioned, coming back for his third year, starting under center. How crucial is that you have a senior quarterback who knows the reins, he knows this division, knows this team, knows the offense? That's got to be exciting for you as a head coach, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's tremendous. His talent is crazy. His ability to move in the pocket is, second to none. He's gotten a lot bigger. I think last year was probably about 150 pounds. He's put on about 20 pounds.
Oh, there you go.
So he's starting to really fill out. I mean, he's got a big time arm. He can make all the throws. I mean, yesterday in practice, he's throws one from the left hash and throws a corner out all the way across the field about 45 yards, drops it right on the sideline. Like it's something awesome just to watch that dude perform in practice. But then his leadership skills again are I think what I'm most proud of is he's taking command of the offense. We got another young quarterback in Jack Meyer that's going to probably take over next year that he's mentoring like crazy, trying to make sure that guy's going to be the next great one there. So, those kinds of things to me are what you're looking for in a guy that's going to be running your show offensively.
You guys have been blessed with some good quarterback play over the last 5 years or so, haven't you? And, of course, Brody's been here for now coming up on year 3. Some really good quarterbacks that have come through Castleton.
Yeah, I mean, it's, so when I used to be on Coach Troy Mattern's staff at Fargo South is where I got my start. And when I took over as head coach here, he was like, hey, you guys are going to be a lot like the Shantleys of AA, where you're always going to have athletes. You're always going to have athletes. You're always probably going to have a quarterback. So, if you get a great O-line, awesome. Like we had last year, our O-line was unbelievable. He goes, but you're always going to have those freaky talented kids. Like, so, why don't you just start playing some basketball on grass or getting the ball out in space? Again, give your kids give them the best opportunity to win. And, I think that's what we try to do. And like you said, we've had a lot of really, really good quarterbacks. I mean, I would tell you that, as much as I love football more than anything, but I think this town is a baseball town. We're, gosh, I don't know, there's probably 80 kids that play baseball, in the summertime around here.
It's crazy.
So, we're never missing somebody that can throw football. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And it helps when you have guys who can catch it. And Easton Holland is one of them. We had him on the show here just a little bit ago. He's now committed to MSUM. It seems like things for Easton just really clicked last year. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I think he really took a big stride offensively. Like he said, in his interview with Dom that, he really didn't play much offense before. He's never been one afraid of physical contact. And so to him to, get his big opportunity offensively, I thought he really took advantage of that, especially as the year went along. He came in and said, hey, Coach, I think I can contribute even more. What else could I do, to help, get the ball and make plays? And, again, that's what we want, right? Like we want the communication. We want kids that are wanting to make plays. And he did that. And again, I think he's leading that group. We have another kid that's going to be a junior, Blaze Cotton. That's going to be, he was our second leading receiver last year. Was 2 catches behind Easton. He's another kid that I think is going to be on some, big college radars here. And then we have 2 other kids that are, one's a sophomore, Kellen Cruchet, his older brother, was our starting running back last year. He's got some unbelievable wiggle. And then another junior receiver in Jarrett Stahl, who we had big time hopes for him last year and dislocated his ankle on the very first play, the very first game, So we never really got to see him. He looked unbelievable in camp, and then you never got to see him play. So we're excited to see those guys, out in our skill positions. Those are going to be some fun guys to watch.
I was going to say, with all that talent and a quarterback who knows what's going on, you might as well adopt the Troy Mattern style of football and run and gun all over the field. It seems like you guys would do great at that.
Yeah. I mean, again, what a team's giving us, right? I mean, if they're going to pack the box, get it out wide. If they're not, we'll give it to our big running back in Benji Boye and Zane Blix. So, those are going to be. It's going to be a fun time, though.
Absolutely. When I look at your squad going into this upcoming year, one of my big questions is, and I'm sure you guys have had it as well with your coaching staff, how do you fill the holes on the offensive and defensive line with Aiden Wunderlich and Evan Wiersma gone. Wunderlich now at UND and Wiersma over at MSUM. Those are big dudes that played crucial roles over the last couple of years. How do you fill the shoes that they left?
Yeah, I mean, those are generational talents. I mean, we haven't had guys like that here ever. Obviously, Aiden's our biggest recruit ever. I think Evan's got a chance to potentially be a starter at MSUM. Honestly, in the next maybe year or two, playing O-line. So I don't know if you can really replace that kind of talent, but we have some kids coming up that are hungry to compete. Ben Nelson has been a 2-year starter. Ben's another kid that's got some real freaky talent. He's he comes in as a 6th man for us as a quote point guard, but his job is just to defend the point guards, and yet he plays offensive line and defensive line for us. So he's really really good. And then we have 2 other guys that played a lot last year on our O-line, and Jack Sawicki and Aiden Peterson, that just kind of rotated, saw a ton of time. Those 3 guys are kind of our main solid guys on the O-line, and then defensive line wise, we have Hunter Domar and Hunter Rohr that again saw a lot of time last year and have really improved. That maybe they're not quite as big, maybe they're not quite as talented when it comes to just pure overall strength, but they're doing everything that you want to give yourself a shot.
We just saw the video of Wiersma scoring that touchdown last year. Do you got a guy up on the roster right now that can maybe do that on the offensive line?
Always. I'm an old lineman at heart. I scored a touchdown in high school on a play, and I said every year that as a head coach, I'm going to try to make sure one of my linemen gets to touch a ball, because that's an unbelievable feeling, and especially when you get to score like that, that's something special.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. It was fun to see that, and we'll see what you guys bust out of the bag of tricks for this upcoming season. I'm curious, just looking at your schedule here, and I know the most important game is the first one that's coming up on August 28th at Watford City. You guys are road warriors here for a good portion of this schedule. At Watford City, at Devil's Lake the first 2 weeks, then you go to Wahpeton, and then at Grand Forks twice. That's a lot of moving around, isn't it?
A lot of moving around. We're 4 of those 5 teams as homecoming games, so we love to play a little spoiler. So that's going to be pretty fun there. I know those are going to be rocking environments since it's going to be homecoming. Which that's what you love about high school sports. Getting to go in there, maybe kind of wreck a homecoming party.
No doubt.
Couldn't be any more fun than that.
No doubt. And then, of course, you got Kindred at the end of the season. I bet that your guys are excited about that, a rivalry game to end the regular season again.
Yeah, always, right? I mean, there's nothing better. I think that's the best rivalry in the state. Hopefully, again, we're both undefeated going into that game, playing for a region championship. Every year we talk about that. That's our favorite game to play. We want to beat them, they want to beat us. It's and the crowds there are always awesome. Doesn't matter whether, we know what that game's always going to be like. So it's just our job to get ourselves there. You're not looking ahead to that game, but it's 100% going to be a critical game for us going into the playoffs.
No doubt. Couple more for Tommy Butler, the head coach of Central Cass football, joining us on this Thursday morning. I was looking through the historical records for the Squirrels, and since 1980 on. Last 5 seasons, all winning seasons. Prior to that, sitting around or below 500. What changed from 2021 on, where you guys are now contending power in the state of North Dakota?
One, you have to have athletes. Mm-hmm. You have to have players. You have to have that. And that's not to say that we didn't have that before, but, I think we put a really big focus on not what do we do as coaches, but what do the kids do well, I don't care who you are. I don't care if Nick Saban's coaching here. If you don't have talent, you cannot win.
Right.
And so for us, it's whatever talent you do get, what are you doing to maximize that the most? And I think that's something that we've done a lot of. When you watch us play, we are rotating all the time. We have a ton of kids that play. I would say on an average Friday night, we probably play somewhere close to 30 plus guys on a Friday night, if not more than that as we go. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get those kids in there. We want to build a program that, you don't just come to practice just to stand on the sideline. If you come to our practice, there's very little standing. We're not a conditioning team. I don't go out there and run kids to death. Like, we're here to get better at their, at what we're asking them to do. Does that mean that they're not going to work hard? No, they are. They're going to work hard. Our word right now over this fall camp is standard, right? What is the standard that you're looking for? And then can you continuously push that standard up, right? If you're a young guy, can you start to get in the mix? If you're in the mix, can you become a starter? If you're a starter, can you win every rep? Just constantly trying to push that envelope all the time. And I think that, when you get a class to buy into that, that's where you start to get those winning traditions. And, kids really, again, they might come from junior high and maybe it does, like that group that won or that made it to the state championship game. Mm-hmm. I think from their 4th grade to their 7th grade year or 8th grade year, I don't know if they won more than 3 games total.
Yeah. Wow.
But, they get into the program, they buy in. We're big guys in developing talent. There's, like, again, Aiden Wonderlick's a great example. Freshman year, not good, not a good football player. Mm. And now is going to UND. Now, is that because of everything we did? No. He's got a lot of talent there, but that guy's worked tremendously hard and listened to anything that was given to him, any kind of information to make himself better. And so, and now that's the standard, right? Like, that's what kids do. There is no just you come to practice from 4 to 6 and that's it. You don't study, you don't get in your playbooks, you don't do any of that. Like, our guys have bought into, what is going to help us win. And now we're just trying to get over that hump and get a championship like we did back in the 80s.
That would be awesome. It's great to see what you guys are doing. Tommy, I appreciate you taking some time. I know you got a busy schedule, so I'll let you get back to it.
I appreciate it, Sam. Go Squirrels.
There we go. Go Squirrels. Tommy Butler joining us on this Thursday morning, the head coach of Central Cass, team that went 7-4 in their first season of 2A football. Back again this year, a challenging schedule, a lot of road games, but with a lot of talent that they have coming back, I think the Squirrels are going to be a pretty dangerous team in that division. There's no doubt. I love his philosophy on offensive linemen touching the ball. It made me remember a story from my day. If you couldn't tell, I was an offensive lineman way back in my day. I wasn't any good. I was actually in middle school playing on the O-line, and at one point, a coach decided, hey, why don't you go in and be a running back? And I was like, oh, yeah, obviously. First play, we're on the 30-yard line. I get to the line of scrimmage, and I wasn't necessarily stripped of the ball. I just dropped it, threw it behind me. Luckily, our quarterback was there, and he was speedy, picked it up for a 30-yard touchdown. So that was my first appearance as a running back, as an offensive lineman. My second one was in the same game. Couple of seconds left in the game. Final play, I get a 4-yard rush up the middle. I'm tackled. I stand up, and my pants are off. I'm just sitting there in my breezers, and it's off. So that was my second play as a running back, as an offensive lineman. So that was horrible. But I do love seeing offensive linemen touch the football, just as long as it's not me touching the football. I got bad experiences. But with that being said, happy to see or looking forward to see what Central Cass can do this upcoming season. All right, we're due for a break. When we come back, we'll step aside, put a bow on hour number 1. Hour number 2, we'll start with Alec Osmus, get a little bit more insight on the Vikings dilemma, and also some other topics going on. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this.